Hello. Welcome back. This is my very first time on the Black Kids Can't Wait channel. And I'm so excited to be here. I feel like we've been waiting forever. It's been a while. If you have not tuned in over on Speak Up's page for any of these Speak Up Lives, go check them out. They've been really fun. I am your host, Angel Tyree, and I will say I am your co-host today, Angel Tyree. Yep, you heard it right. I'm your co-host because I am sharing my space today with Renee Bailey. Yeah, the Black Kids Can't Wait advisor. And we are happy to be here today talking very specifically about Black kids. We have been coming to you talking about education during the pandemic, what has been happening here in LA Unified Schools. But today, very specifically, very near and dear to my heart, because I was a product of public school, and so is my son. So I am so happy to have this conversation right now about learning loss. We're not going to talk about the pandemic and what has happened during the pandemic. That's going to come up a little bit, but we're going to talk about learning loss and how to not slide into learning loss. I feel running out of this pandemic, we probably already had a little learning loss during the school year. So we're going to talk about what you and all of you parents out there can do to help your kiddos to stay on track over the summer and to enter into the new school year nice and strong. So before I talk too much, because if you've been watching me, you know I can talk forever, I want to welcome Renee Bailey on as my co-host today. Welcome, Renee, and thank you.
No, thank you so much. I'm so excited to co-host with Angel today. And like she said, we're talking about Black kids, but also mitigating the learning loss that they suffer through this pandemic and what we can do as parents to help our children academically thrive. So we have some good guests. We're going to have a great discussion. And I just want to remind viewers that if you have any comments, questions, you can put it in the comments. And then if you could do us a tremendous favor by sharing this discussion today with your family and friends. Sharing this discussion with your family and friends. We would love for everyone to get an opportunity to view the discussion that we're having today. So before we get into it, Angel, should I go ahead and introduce all our guests?
You should, but also you should let everyone who's watching out there know that you can drop your questions or comments in the chat. We will try to address them. If we cannot, at a later time, we will circle back around and address them. Take it away, Renee. This is your show.
All right. So then we're going to do a little popcorn introductions here. So the first person I see on the screen is Mr. Harris. Can you give us a little intro about who you are and what you represent? Oh, I have you on mute.
My apologies. Okay, so my name is Niambi Harris. I'm the executive director of the Train of Thought Chess Education Program. And it's a program that teaches leadership development principles through the game of chess. My best friend about 13 years ago decided that he wanted to begin teaching the principles that govern the game of chess to inner city youth in Compton libraries. So we started doing that for free and then got an opportunity to teach families and different types of programs and at-risk youth. Got an opportunity to start teaching after-school programs. We broadened our program, and about 7 years ago, I started about full-time. And now we've been teaching kindergarten through 12th grade, just those valuable principles that you can learn. What does it take to be a king off of the board? And what type of choices do you need to make? Most people don't know the queen is the most powerful piece in chess, but girls don't play. How is that possible? How is that possible that most girls don't even know the most powerful piece on a board is a woman? And so those are some of the things that we try to make sure that we instill in our young girls and making sure our young kings understand the value of their choices. And we do that 5 days a week throughout inner cities across LA. And now because of the pandemic, we're doing it virtually worldwide.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And, you know, I could just say one thing. In my house, a happy wife is a happy life. So I know I am the most important person in this house. So now we're going to pass it to Miss Alberta Moore. If you can introduce yourself and tell us who you're here representing.
Hello, my name is Alberta Winston Moore. I am the parent of 3 children that have gone through LAUSD. And my last one is a 15-year-old at Dorsey. I'm a part of a lot of organizations. APAT, also the Community Response System of South LA. Currently, I am the president of LMU's African American Alumni Association.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And because Alberta mentioned APAC, I just have to throw in a shameless plug. APAC is the African American Parent Advisory Team. We meet every Tuesday. So if you're interested in joining, just send us a comment and we can make sure you have the link to register. So the next person we want to introduce themselves.
We just have to hop in there and say, if you are watching and you have Black and brown children in LA Unified Schools,
yes,
you should join if you have not already, and you should have your friends join.
Yes,
that's my disclaimer.
I appreciate that. So now, Mr. Lawson, can you please introduce yourself and tell us the organization that you represent?
Thank you very much. Michael Lawson. I am the president and CEO of the Los Angeles Urban League. The Los Angeles Urban League has been in Los Angeles focused on economic empowerment and civil rights for 100 years. We started in 1921, and we're celebrating our centennial, and it is an honor to be here. Absolutely.
Well, it is an honor to have you, and it's an honor to see all the great work that the Urban League has done over the years, and even here in Los Angeles. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, by the way, let me, everybody's telling where they came from. So I graduated from Westchester High School, and I graduated from LMU.
Wow.
And I graduated from Harvard Law School. So that's what public education will do for you.
Praise God.
Do it right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Fernandez, can you tell us about you?
Sure. My name is Bernadette Fernandez. Hello, everyone. I am the owner and director of Imagine Etiquette. I teach etiquette, life skills, financial literacy, confidence and self-esteem building, and I've been in business for 7 years, representing our youth of color, making sure that they understand that they are kings and queens and they are great in their own right. I believe in uplifting our kids, making sure our kids are confident in their own worth and their value, to know that they can do anything possible as long as they have someone that's backing them and pulling them forward.
Absolutely. That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. So I want to get into something. I want to open up the discussion. So I'm going to throw some data points out there so that way we can kind of tailor our conversation to some of the things I'm going to throw at you. So today, LAUSD, we had a conversation, and they mentioned that 40% of Black students are graduating with a C or better, 80% with a D or better. I mean, you know, when they say fun fact, this is a horrible fact. So in addition to that, I want to throw out a couple of more things. Black children are the least likely to become proficient readers by the 3rd grade, be placed in gifted and talented education programs, master the mid-level mathematics skills that position students for success in college, and be placed in a full sequence of college preparatory classes. Also, they're least likely to complete an AP course, graduate from high school in 4 years, and complete a college degree. So with that, let's reflect on that. What are your thoughts?
Where do
I am the person with the least amount of formal education on the issue of education, but this is an atrocity, but it is also something that was designed.
Mm-hmm.
The school system is designed so that we don't know who we are. We don't understand our history. We don't understand that we come from kings and queens. We don't understand that most of what we are taught came out of Africa.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that is deliberate. I am old enough to remember when we were taught two types of numbers in first grade. We were taught Roman numerals and we were taught Arabic numerals. People don't know. And when I talk to students in high school, I say, I'm going to teach you how to write in Arabic. And so you can't do that. And so you take out your pencils and write down your phone number. And say, okay. I said, you just wrote in Arabic. Why don't they call them Arabic numerals anymore? Because they don't want you to understand that that algebra came out of Africa. You can't graduate middle school without learning it, but they don't teach you that. You cannot learn geometry without learning about the Greek culture, but they teach you algebra without telling you the source. And this is deliberate, and we have to make this up on the other side. Once you realize that, and you realize how important, there's a sense of pride that comes to you, and you say, wait a minute, I need to do this because I am standing on the shoulders of giants. I remember now, and I'll let the mic go real quick, but I remember in middle school reading a world history book, and there was one paragraph that said the Moors controlled Spain for 800 years. And I thought to myself, you don't control something for 800 years, it's yours. So why would they write it this way? Because they don't want us to understand how powerful our ancestors were.
Absolutely.
May I add to that, Mr. Lawson? Absolutely, you're 100% right. When I'm teaching my kids, my programs are in schools, and most of the kids that I was assigned to were high flyers, or the kids that were considered in need of intervention or restorative justice. But when I went into the schools, the first thing I did was address my kids as kings and queens. And then my kids had to do daily affirmations, which I created, which my mom gave me. When I talk to my kids about financial literacy, they understand why math is important. When I teach my kids about resume writing and how to write a resume in the 6th grade, they understand why English is important. But before I even start there, I start my programs with Black Wall Street. How did I know about Black Wall Street? My grandmother passed away at 102 years old. She was a wealth of knowledge. So my brother and I learned about Black Wall Street when we were 6 and 7 years old. So when you know where you come from, as my mother always say, you know where you're going.
Yes.
Take that from you. So when we talk to our kids, and my kids are failing, when I get them, they're failing. But when I tell them who they are and give them that birthright, all of a sudden those F's comes up to A's. But we have to tell our kids who they are and let them know that they're valued. And don't allow someone else to tell them who they are. It starts with us. It starts in the home, right? So I agree with you 100%. I'll pass the mic.
I just want to jump in and say you guys are both absolutely correct. And Ms. Bernadette, you said something that resonated, that you were taught about Black Wall Street. And that's so important that we're taught our history at home. And I believe that makes a huge difference because we're able to know who we are. Mr. Harris, what's your thoughts? I want to gather some more feedback before I throw a couple of more data points at you guys.
Uh-oh. I'm muted again. I was listening to some of what the King was saying and Ms. Fernandez, and looking at these statistics, it's kind of a reflection of where we are as a society with our kids being home the last 18 months. Prior to that, we had to hold accountable our schools, those districts. We pointed the fingers at teachers, some of the choices our children were making. Well, now the last 18 months, this 40%, this 80% where they're at a D, this is a reflection of our level of focus on our kids. When I was growing up, my parents valued education and they instilled the work ethic. Nowadays, our parents value education, but they don't get to see the work ethic. Well, what is a tangible example of that? Think about the level of accountability that happens with chores and homework now. All of us in the screen understand how important it was to get those chores done in order for you to do the next thing in life. All of us understand that were held accountable for your homework. We don't recognize that 40%, that 80% is a reflection of accountability. And where accountability has been pressed pause is in this new generation. We don't hold our kids at home accountable to the same level of standard and ask ourselves, what has our focus been the last 18 months as inner city parents? We are frustrated with what's been produced by our teachers, but our standards, our work ethics, and showing our kids what they need to do step by step is very, very important and very, very critical. And here's another example of why I preface that. When we talk about critical thinking, I teach kindergarten through 12th grade, and I have well over 10,000 students. In my high schools, I often ask my 11th and 12th graders as they're transitioning, are you going to college? Everyone raises their hand. But here's where work ethic starts to fall behind. When I ask them how many pages they're reading per day, many of them say 5 or 10. We all know it is impossible for you to survive at a junior college level if you're only accustomed to reading 5 pages per day.
Right.
Right. And so where does that practice come from when you're 15, when you're 16, when you're 14, when you're 13? That means there were some days skipped where mom asked about your homework or asked, well, what are you studying? Well, what do you mean you don't have homework? And so I think it's important that we take it to the root first. It's not to blame. It's just to recognize the TV raised us first. Now the internet is raising our children. Devices are having an impact. So what are some of the resources? What are some of the things that we can do to mitigate these statistics in the summer? Is to recognize the best resource for our kids is us.
Right, right. You know, it's funny. I just want to kind of piggyback on that because you mentioned something, all of you did. You mentioned the teaching. So since we're on that topic, I have a question for you. How many of us, I just want you to raise your hand, but how many of us had a Black teacher in our adolescence?
In our adolescence.
And I can tell you that teacher made such a difference in my education. Such a difference. Miss Welch didn't play the radio. Don't come up in her class playing nothing. Don't talk about you missed crossing one T or dotting one I because she was having no part of it. But she held us accountable. That's such a really important word. She held us accountable. And she was a teacher who stood in front of us, who looked like us, who sounded like our parents at home. Don't come in her classroom with excuses. Oh, she'll make you recite the whole poem on excuses. Don't even come in there about it. But it makes a difference. And when my son is 13 and he has never, ever had a Black teacher, kind of a problem for me.
Wow.
That's a little bit of a problem. And so I'm going to let you take right back in there, but understanding the importance of students seeing someone who looks like them in front of them. Sometimes, it doesn't have to be every year, but sometimes they need to see teachers. And if you're not in their classroom, you need to see them on the playground sometimes. You know, my son was in a school for a long time where there wasn't a single Black teacher, admin, custodial worker, PE teacher, no one.
That's impactful.
Yeah, that's
impactful.
Yeah, very.
Very, very much so. You know, it's funny. I'm glad me and Angel are having this opportunity to co-host together because I've had the opposite experience. I grew up without a Black teacher, elementary, junior high, high school, never had them. And if I did have anyone who looked like me on my campus, they were usually in a janitorial position or a cafeteria worker. And think about that. I mean, these people work hard, but to not be able to see someone who looks like me in these positions of power. So the reason why I brought that up is that nearly 100,000 Black students are in schools without any Black teachers. And more than half of schools in California don't have a Black teacher.
Right.
So Angel gave you your experience. I mean, her experience. Like, let's speak on that. Like, how does that impact our children? And how can we help them, how can we lead them to a future of success by them seeing someone who looks like them teach them?
If you don't mind, I mean, I agree with everything that you're saying.
Good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I step on somebody?
Nope, not at all. Go ahead, Mr. Lawson.
What you're saying is very important. I raised my hand not because I was born in Little Rock, Arkansas, where the schools were segregated in the 60s. So all I had were Black teachers for the first 3 grades. Then we came to California, didn't see any Black teachers, but both my parents were educators. So we had that. And when a white middle school teacher basically, ignored me and made me think that I wasn't smart enough. And my mother called him up and said, "Why are his grades like this?" And he said, "Well, he's not that bright." And I heard my mother talking to him on the phone. She said, "He is bright. He's just lazy as hell. So I want you to just kick his butt and move it on." But one of the things I want to interject into here is that everything you're saying about the having that Black role model is correct. The interesting thing, though, is we don't have the same issue when it comes to sports. And why is that?
Yes. Yes.
May I jump in, Mr.
Please.
Lawson?
Go ahead.
Angel, all of you, what frustrates me the most, I had one Black teacher growing up, and I remember her name, Miss Buck. She was my first grade teacher. She was beautiful, and not only was she gorgeous, she loved us, and it left an impression on me. What I found going into my schools and teaching, not only could I get the kids to change their behavior, I'd look like them. And because my expectations was so high, they didn't have a problem reaching it because there was someone in the school or in my classroom that looked like them. I had a situation where I was at a PD, I hosted a PD teacher development. And I remember this one teacher who did not look like us made the comment of, "I just want my kids to get a C. As long as they get a C, I'm okay." And I said, "Well, would you tell your child that?"
Right.
Would you say that to your child? And he just looked at me, his face turned red, of course. And I said, "See, that's the problem. My grandmother always said that segregation had its good points and its bad. We didn't want to be in white schools. We just wanted the same books and the same provided to them. There is a reason why we succeed more when we have teachers that look like us. There's a reason why. So I just want to agree with all of you. Yeah, it's systematically designed. And when you have all these, and which I just also realized that a lot of teachers from Teach for America, I didn't know that when they come into our community and teach, that they get free tuition. I mean, their tuition
incentivized.
Yeah, I was like, what? Also, now I know why y'all in the neighborhood, because I could not understand, why are you here? That's why you're here. But you're not here for my kids. Now, I'm not saying all of them, some of it. You're not here for us. And in order to get our kids to want to learn and bring those data points up, is to have teachers not only that look like them, but teachers that care about their livelihood, care about who they are as an individual. Then they will rise to the occasion.
Absolutely.
Such a grand slam on everything, because I went to Crenshaw High School, grew up on Crenshaw and Lawson, so I'm from that area, and just understand the importance of having people that look like you, because unfortunately for me, I saw Black teachers in my school, but because I wasn't connected to my own identity, I didn't relate to them. So also the subject matters that are being taught in those classrooms, and just fast forwarding to spending time with Mrs. Fernandez on those campuses that we used to teach, watching the impact of those kids when we walked into those classes where teachers were struggling and they couldn't get control of the classroom. And her and I would walk in and just stand there, and the class just gets quiet. You just hear whispers or elbows. That's Ms. Fernandez. That's Mr. Harris. Shh, shh, shh. And so what we started to learn was that our kids, if you remember when we were kids, our parents always had a problem with selective hearing. I know you heard me call you. Please do not have me repeat your name again. And they made it vividly clear that you did not want to play that selective hearing game with them.
Right.
Well, what we learned was that our students and this current culture practice selective respect. They pick and choose who they want to respect. And what we've learned is that they tend to respect those that look like them, sound like them, but more importantly, we spend time listening to them before we raise the standard. And a lot of times we don't listen to the youth because they are wrong. In many ways, they do not have the tools that they need in order to make these critical decisions, but we stand there and listen to them anyway. And in doing so, it enables us to educate them and say, yes, you're right. I understand it's challenging, but if I can come out of there, so can you. And then they'll look at me and they go, you know what, Mr. Harris, man, it's just the way you be talking, yo. All right, man, I'm gonna play some chess with you. And it's the language. Once they begin, once you convince them that you come from the same space, that you are able to rise above it, and then give them a new way of looking at things. Because a lot of times we tell them no, but we don't tell them how to do something different. Or we tell them that they're wrong, but the level of education that we provide in between makes them feel excluded. So
But
that is something that we have to pay attention
that
to.
one thing, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes, please.
Respect.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Respect.
Yeah.
My kids told me in a class, Miss Fernandez, you respect us.
Respect.
And I said, well, why wouldn't I? I mean, why wouldn't I respect you? They said, because most teachers don't. I will never forget that. I will never forget that.
It's true. You know, I'm going to hop in here and just say two things I heard. One is we have lost that sense of pride about ourselves. And I think that did happen in desegregation. I was a product of desegregation. I know I don't look like it, but I was. And so I was a part of my neighborhood school until busing started. And then I went to a whole nother side of town. And then for some years, some kids came from a different side of town to my neighborhood. But what happened there, for me, it worked out really, really well. I got exposed to other cultures, other ways of being that just wasn't my neighborhood. It worked out great for me. But what I think happened in the desegregation of schools is that Black people as a whole sort of lost pride in themselves and their voice in the school. We used to be able to say, this is what we want for our students. But when you started intermixing students, other voices knew how to be louder, knew how to go to politicians. They knew how to get the funding right. And so their voices then overpowered our voices. And then the schools didn't necessarily take care of our kids in this sort of desegregated way that our kids should have been taken care of. And I'm speaking as I was a student that came up through that. And while it did work out for me, I could see the dismantling of, for lack of a better phrase, and I don't want to offend, but it is what it is, Black power in our community. And so we lost that a bit. And now we're in this whole mesh of a systemic educational system that is not designed for our students to win. And we're trying to figure out by running backwards how to catch up. So these sort of conversations are going to be essential for covering some ground and making way in the future for the students who are in school now and those who haven't even been born yet. These sort of conversations are going to give us our voice back And we need to have these sort of conversations, not just go to your school and complain to your teacher and principal, but how to really affect change. And that is a whole different level. And so, you know, I heard the pride thing, which was really important. You know, how I think we just lost a sense of pride. And some of that is just because we felt our voices weren't heard and they would never be heard. And so we just throw in the towel. They're never going to hear us. But we don't understand that by unifying, they will hear us. By hitting the purse strings, they will hear us. By getting politicians on our side, they will hear us. Voting, they will hear us. So that's one piece of it. And then the other piece that I heard was just the lack of respect. When our students sit in classrooms and feel completely unheard, devalued, almost invisible, they don't feel the respect and they don't offer the respect. So teachers go in and they say, these are some disrespectful kids. I can't gain control of this classroom. But what it is that you have not respected these students. And teachers will say, well, it's not my job to respect them. Well, hang on, they're people, and it is. And once you can establish that respect with your student body, you will find that they will respect you back. There are some highly successful white teachers in front of classrooms of Black students, but they have come in not from a stance of, I am here and I am the greater, higher being. They've come here to say, I love you, I see you, I respect you, I honor you, and I'm going to teach you.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to be quiet at this point, Renee.
No, yeah, I love everything that you said, but you know, when I hear that, it's like, wow, what do we do? Like, we always are so like, it's easy to identify the problem, but now we're in a time where we need to talk about the solution. So, what can we do, or what suggestions or tips can we give our people to empower our kids to succeed?
Well, one of the things that I would recommend is that because you are transitioning, and all right, so most of the kids on campuses were already 1 to 3 grade levels behind, no matter what school they were in, especially if they look like some of my young kings and queens. So it's imperative, if you are a parent of a young king, I'm 46 years old, and when I graduated from Crenshaw High School, by the time I went back to college in my 30s, because I did not pay attention and focus in 11th and 12th grade, by the time I went back to college in my 30s, I had to take those specific English classes again. So it's imperative that as a parent, you know where your children are: reading, writing, and math. You can start there. And if you know that your kid hasn't been on a campus with a teacher every day, going through those subject matters with them, as brilliant as you are, because my background is banking and finance, I was always taught experts do what they do for 8 to 12 hours a day. If you're not a teacher for 8 to 12 hours a day, it's imperative that you make sure your child is assessed by one, so you know where they are. Step 2, once you know where they are, you internally have to take steps and make adjustments to help your child meet that need. And that's where I believe we kind of dropped the ball a little bit. We have to be focused more on education because our children only want to be entertained. Most of their dreams are to become entertainers. When I ask them what they want to be when they grow up, they want to do something where a camera is in front of them, and they don't want to pursue education to get money. They only want to pursue entertaining us or others for financial means. And I think we have to look at that as a way of reshaping their dreams. If we can reshape that, we can have a huge impact on what they do in the fall.
Let me follow on that, because you're dead on, but I want to twist it a little bit.
Please, sir, please.
I submit to you that these kids aren't focusing on entertainment and sports primarily because of the financial benefit.
Yes, sir.
They're doing it to please their parents.
You
hit that 3-point shot, and everybody is screaming and hollering and saying, "Oh, great!" You come in with that A, and it's like, it's okay. Yeah. You did okay. No, we have to start just looking at these kids and saying, "Oh, you were so smart."
Yeah.
And celebrate. Celebrate that intelligence.
That part. Yes.
I promise you.
That's
all
right.
they really want Yeah, the money would be fine. What they really want is recognition from their parents.
Absolutely.
And if there's
Yes.
not a parent in the house, another adult.
Can I jump-
Well, when the
please.
parents are distracted in all their devices.
I understand everything that you're saying, but understand.
No, I agree.
Understand
I agree.
that's what somehow we start jumping up and down when that 3-point shot hits.
Mm.
Yeah,
we can
I
jump
agree.
up and down when those grades, and we can say, you know what, if you miss that 3-point shot, go out and practice.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
You don't get that A on that math test. You need to practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. No.
And I think I want to add to it. I agree 110%. I personally believe, and based on how I was raised, that it starts with the parents. And a lot of parents don't have time because they're trying to finance, provide and do all this and they're stressed. But what parents can do, and what I'm a firm believer of, is not knock your kids down. And I want to agree with Mr. Lawson. I have a situation that just happened to me today. I had a parent who told me that she was upset that her daughter cut her hair, and now she's going to look more fat. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, she's going to be big. It's not something that she should have done. I said, well, does she like her hair? She said, yeah. I said, well, why would you tell her that if her hair is short, she's going to look more fat? I said, those are your issues. Now you put your issues on your child. The little things that you can do as a parent is uplift your kids. Tell your kids that they're deserving. The reason why I thought I was cute my entire life because my mama nicknamed me Puddin' for chocolate pudding. So I thought that was cute, right?
God.
So you can tell me anything. My mother got in my head before the world got in my head. My company was always late. So I never had to worry about if I wanted to be lighter or my hair had to be straight or whatever. My mother told me I was cute, and that's all that mattered. So if you
you get ready to start a whole different conversation. Bernadette, that's that you're getting ready to start a whole other conversation about how we have learned to parent based upon how we were parented, based upon how generations ago the slave master parented. Mm-hmm. That's a whole other conversation. But I just agree with you.
You have to break it because when you, as a parent, it doesn't take that much time to say you are amazing. I told my daughter that she was built for greatness. Right?
Absolutely.
Just imagine you're built for greatness. So that when she goes to school, I didn't already got in her head. She's like, shoot, y'all white girls can't say nothing to me because my mama told me I'm built for greatness. So what? Yes, Black Lives Matter. So that's what I'm saying. It comes from us. So if you, even the things that didn't happen to you as a child and your parents didn't encourage you, change the trajectory by encouraging your kids. You're going to have to do it now more than ever. We're living in a different world.
Right.
So they need it in order to succeed. So I'm sorry. I'm going to pass the mic.
No,
I love it. I love it.
Actually, one thing
that conversation.
I would like to add.
Go ahead, Miss Alberta.
Parents feel like they have to do it all themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. There is a village. In the old days, you had to rely on your neighbors. You had to rely on your relatives. You had to rely on your friends. We have become such independent people that we push away our support networks. So I tell parents, you need a fave 5 in raising your kids. People that can step in and help you. I had to go away for a trip. And part of my network stepped in, got my son to every practice, every taekwondo, every school thing in that week. And I was confident that they could do it because you let those people in that can help you. Some of my girlfriends say, I don't have any kids. My kids are yours. Come to my network. So open, willing to share, and finding those people that support you is important and support your children because there are people They want to help you.
Yes.
They want to support your children.
I mean, nailed it, Miss Alberta. And so, which is a great segue in, and I'm not taking your space, Renee. I just want to move. I know we're on like we only have a certain amount of time, and I really appreciate time. I feel like it's one of our most valuable assets. So I always want to, let our viewers know that I appreciate their time, and I want to let them out right on time. So
Right.
that's a great segue into if you don't know, because some parents just don't know. And maybe they were a part of a broken system and they're trying to parent and trying to make sure their kid has what they need to be successful in this world, but they don't really know because the system that they came from was so broken. I am an advocate of resources, and there are so many resources out there. You do have to look for them sometimes. You have to ask around, dig around, but there are so many resources out there that can help support you and your child in becoming a successful person in school and anywhere else. So I want to segue this into like some of the ways in which we can support our students in being successful as they make it through the summer and enter into a new school year. And they're entering off the heels of just a wonky, messed up year. But the saving grace is it was a wonky, messed up year for everybody. It wasn't just one kid who went through it. All of them have been through it. But I want to get into like how you find resources, where you can, and if you don't have money, because I can hear somebody saying it right now, I hear you. I can't afford that. I can't put my kid in that. I don't have any extra. Trust me, there are resources available to help you if you cannot afford it. That it's okay. It's okay. So Renee, back to you.
No problem. Thank you. So because of that, we have some wonderful guests. I mean, they shared so much already, but I would love for each of you, can you guys hear me still? Sorry, my audio went out. I would love for each of you to introduce the programs that you represent. Each of our panelists, they represent a different program that can help our children, our African-American children benefit over this summer. So I will start with you, Mr. Harris.
I thought that was awesome. I love it. Okay. So again, I am with the Train of Thought Chess Education Program. And so what we do is we teach leadership development principles through the game of chess. So we take inner city youth that look like myself and you, whether it's a part of the Latin community, whoever it is. And whether you are a novice, you've never learned anything about the game, or you have some advanced principle, it doesn't matter. What we do is we teach chess in 4 different ways. My job is similar to Mrs. Fernandez. Mrs. Daniels, Principal Daniels referred me here, and I've been teaching chess to schools. So usually a principal or administrator will sit down with me and decide if they want me to educate one student, a classroom, or do they want me to take over the whole school. So that's what my job is. Usually I expose chess to the entire campus, no matter the amount of size or the kids. Principals or administrators figure out a way to rotate all of them, and we do classes for them. So some of our middle school kids and high school kids take elective classes, while our elementary school kids do what we call our enrichment classes. And so they just get access to the game. Over the summer, what I would recommend doing is there's 2 ways that you can experience our program. The first is through our clubs. We meet once a week, and your kid can learn just those critical thinking skills with other kids. They have fun. This is done virtually. And so we just allow kids to kind of dip their toe into chess. And it's called, again, the Train of Thought Chess Education Program. That's 1 day a week. We also are offering summer camps. So for some of you parents who can allow their kids to spend a little bit more time learning about the game, that's going to be available for them. The last thing that I want to offer you is this. No matter whether you learn how to play the game of chess or not, there are 12 things that you get from it. Whether you learn 1 word, you can use some of them or all of them. Our goal is to teach you those 12. Compassion, confidence, courage, creativity, discipline, humility, integrity, leadership, patience, perseverance, respect, or vision. There's nothing you can do in life where you don't need 1, some, or all 12. And whether we teach you how to be a king or queen and make choices on the board or off the board, this is what we spend time mastering. So we're not an after school program. This is an all day, everyday thing. And that's what I want to spend time doing with your youth. If they're available in the summer, check us out on our website. The Queens have done a phenomenal job of putting that information in the chat box. It's there. If you've got any questions, concerns, by all means, my profiles are public. So ask away. I'm there for you. All I want to do is teach the youth. I don't even really like doing adult stuff that much, you guys. It makes me nervous. I'd rather be in front of a child teaching.
Oh, I love it, Mr.
Yeah, I'd rather be in front of a child teaching.
Thank you so much. And one thing, if you're watching this and you're saying, I don't want to put my child in a chess camp, like what is that really going to benefit them this summer? The ways that you can apply chess to life, like Mr. Harris just laid it out in 12 steps, basically. And if you can, embody 3 of those in your life, if your child can take 3 of those and put them in their daily practice, they are winning. They are winning. And so I know those sort of questions do come up, like, well, is my child going to be interested in this all day? Or chess, that sounds like, that doesn't sound like a fun summer thing to do. But if you're talking about stimulating your child's intellect and giving them applicable skills for life, go visit Mr. Harris.
Sorry, I want to throw the ball over to Miss Bernadette. You were telling me earlier we had time to have a private conversation, and you mentioned a program or a webinar that you're doing this summer. So 1, if you could tell our audience about it, but 2, if you could tell our audience about what you have to offer that can enrich our African-American students this summer.
Wow, I have a lot. The pandemic has caused me to go from just in-person learning to virtual. So we are running our virtual program, which is our VACE program, this virtual after-school enrichment program, which highlights our financial literacy, confidence building, public speaking, and everything else that our children need. And I can just even recite what I normally have my kids say when they are in their class. I am smart, I am beautiful or handsome, I am worthy of all good things, I am confident, I am destined to be great, and no one can take that away from me. I love myself, therefore others will have no choice but to love me. I respect myself because no one else will respect me. I deserve the best in life because I am the best, and I will accomplish all of my goals in life. That is something that our kids recite daily. They have to memorize it. This is an affirmation for them to begin their life, to end their life. And most of the affirmations that I do give my kids, their parents take them. So I have to give more copies to my kid. And as was stated earlier, it is a village. My programs will help your kids deal with a lot of, I would say, confidence issues if they have any, but it will also build them up and prepare them for what they're going to experience when they start school in the fall. And we do offer scholarships. All your kids have to do is create a reason why they want to join our program, and our program will be free for them. So
awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I hope everyone is taking notes. I hope that the audience, we want to see your kids in this. And Ms. Fernandez, that what you have the students recite, you need to share that with me because I need to recite that every morning.
I will.
The importance of I am statements. And
yes.
Kids have had so many negative I am statements by the time they reach Miss Bernadette's class. Oh my goodness. Yes, for that affirmation. And yes, for teaching children affirmations, because we can reprogram our minds. Absolutely.
Yes, we can. So last but not least, I want to introduce a tutoring program that Speak Up is doing in partnership with LMU as well as the Urban League. So I'm going to kick it off to Miss Alberta, and then Mr. Lawson, you can jump in. You guys can chime in together. But if you guys can just speak on this tutoring program.
I am really excited and very proud of this collaboration. First, It's with students from both Michael and my alma mater, LMU. And it's Black students mentoring and tutoring Black students in South LA. And the students are
Wait.
excited.
Say that again. It's Black what?
Black students at
Mentoring.
at LMU, mentoring and tutoring Black students in South LA. So it's such an opportunity for engagement. And we have Black students from all over the country that will be a part of this program, because right now LMU is attracting Black students from all over the country, actually all over the world. Because one of my girlfriends just told me about a guy from South Africa that's going to LMU this year. So it's going to be an incredible collaborative, and we are so proud to be involved. And we thank Mr. Lawson for joining in with us. He has so many programs going on this summer, and we wrote those programs in. We have a resource list that we put them down. But if you can give us a couple of words regarding this program.
We are so excited about this. This pandemic has hit our kids harder than anybody else. And they have fallen further behind than ever. But we can make this up because we always have. And we will do it again and again and again. And what is going on at LMU is just the beginning of it. I am so proud of what my alma mater is doing, what Alberta is doing and her team. We are going to bring all of the skills that have been described in this webinar to bear in terms of making sure, and that affirmation, Ms. Fernandez, we're going to have that at the beginning. I just have to have one comment, Mr. Harris. I almost want you to drop the humility part of the 12, because there's a quote that has been attributed to Shakespeare that says, "Humility in the face of ordinary talent is merely honesty. Humility in the face of extraordinary talent is hypocrisy." Our people are extraordinary. We just don't know it. And that's what we have to teach them. When I was at my law firm for 31 years, and I would mentor young lawyers coming out of law school, and I would tell them straight up the things that were told to me by my parents and my grandparents, that you have to be twice as good as your white counterparts in order to be considered equal. But I supplemented that and said, you have to understand, you do have to be twice as good as your white counterparts in order to be considered equal. The other thing you got to remember is that ain't hard to do.
No.
Okay. And in the legal profession, I would tell them exactly how to do it. You just read. To be a good lawyer, you have to be able to read English.
That's right.
And if you read the entire case, you have outworked half of the folk in the room. You read it twice, you outworked 90% of them. The other one person in the room that's read it as many times as you, he's not your competition.
That's right.
Make friends with him. Just outwork him. That's why LeBron James is who he is, because he outworks everybody else out there.
Yes.
No, there's no reason to be humble. And that's what we're teaching these kids. You can do all of these things and more because of the stock from which you have come, the shoulders on which you stand. So I want that affirmation because I'm going to say it every single day.
Okay. All right.
Please send it to me.
I will, definitely. May I ask something? I'm sorry, because I don't want to take up too much time. I forgot, and forgive me, my my viewers and my panel. I did create, and this is for the parents who are interested. It is my SIVA program for parents. You can go to my website and download it. and it gives you some tools and tips on how to raise confident kids. And
Yes.
it was what my mom gave me, and it is a gift to you, because I believe that one thing I remember is my mom said, you don't have to make an announcement. All you have to do is walk through the door. How powerful.
Awesome.
So,
and speaking of gifts, we have a lot of gifts on our website. Black Kids Can't Wait. We put each and every resource that we locate on there, because there are hundreds of resources available this summer. So we didn't talk about everything, but we want you to go there. We have a list. Urban League has quite a few programs going on, and we're going to have everybody back individually as I take over, because there's so much wisdom here.
Yes. Well, thank you, everyone. Before we close it out, I mean, everyone shared their resources. I'm going to share it again for Black parents. If you want to learn about this stuff and more, Speak Up has an organization, has a group for parents called APAC, African American Parent Advisory Team. Please join us. And if you want to learn more about it, just email Renee at speakupparents.org, and I can get you information so you can register. So I'm going to throw it to you, Angel, so you can wrap it up.
Well, thank you, Renee. So you guys know, if you watch me, you know I always have a lot to say. So let's see how fast I can wrap this up. Not going to be that fast. One, the gift is you guys joining us today. Thank you. I appreciate you all. This has been such a great dialogue. I think we need more of these dialogues. Speak Up, thank you to you for offering us this platform to have this dialogue. Black kids can't wait. No, they can't wait. Nah. We're tired of waiting. But parents, we don't have to wait. What you do have to do is get up and do something. You must look for your resources. You must enroll your students in, or your kids, not students, but your kids in programs this summer. If you allow your child to sit on the sofa and watch TV and play video games all day, don't go to school in the fall mad at the teacher. Don't do it. Come holler at me, because I'm going to let you know you were wrong. You were dead wrong. Enroll your child in a program. I do believe in some free time. So yeah, give your kids some free time, but children don't get all day free every day. There's things to be done. There was a comment Mr. Harris said at the top of this about being accountable and how we had chores to do. You couldn't go outside until your chores were done, and don't even think about asking, right? You can't go outside and you haven't read your 20 or 30 or an hour, whatever your expectation is. You want to get on Xbox or PlayStation or what? You didn't do the dishes? Parents, that's you though. That's not the kids, because the kids are going to say, no, I don't want to do it. And they're going to complain, and they're going to stomp their feet, and they're going to pout, and they're going to mumble under their breath. It's going to happen. It's part of being a kid. I did it too. Somehow I turned out all right, because my dad said, you're going to get in there and wash those dishes anyway. And if there's one dirty, I'm going to put them all back, and you're going to wash them again. That's work ethic.
Yes.
You must teach your children to show up at their best at all times, to give it their all. They may not be good at it, but they better try like they are. If you want your kids in the game, you have to set them up to be successful in this game. School alone is not going to set your kids up to be successful in the game of life. You, whoever's at home with those kids, grandma, auntie, uncle, village, you have to set your kids up to be successful. You must. And part of that is too, joining the conversation. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. It's going to be on you, though, to share it with your friends, to have dialogue with your friends. Hey, you putting your kid in that chess camp? I think I will too. Give them a buddy to go with. They don't want to go and meet all new friends. Send them with a cousin. Send them with a friend. Talk to your village. Who can they go to that camp with so they don't feel alone? They're going to make new friends, but who can they go with? You know, if you're going to send them to Miss Alberta's camp, great. Send them with a friend. If they don't have a friend, that's not an excuse. They're going to make it. Send them anyway. Okay? They might complain the first couple of days. They hate it. They'll get over it. you know, you got to stay on them. It's your job too. It's your job to not just complain to teachers and administrators. It's your job to find the resources for your school, to show up at your school. My dad used to come walk the halls of my school. I couldn't stand seeing him in my school. I'd be like, oh, it's my dad again. But my dad also didn't even have a high school education. He dropped out in 9th grade, and he understood how difficult it is in this world if your child is not set up for success. So he made sure he set us up for success. You too, set your kids up for success. You can, but you got to show up. You got to be willing. You got to try new things. You can do it. It's on you. It's not on the school. But we will have that conversation because we went to school. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you all for joining us. I appreciate your time. And until next time, we out of here. Peace. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.